Hey everyone, welcome to Mighty Forces. I'm your host, Amanda Hirsch. If you're someone who gives a damn about other people, about the state of the world, then you are in the right place. Welcome. Take a load off, let your hair down, and get ready to go deep. And to get stupid. Because in my experience, the best conversations with the best people share both of these characteristics. Let's start the show. Hey everyone, welcome to the latest episode of the Mighty Forces podcast. I am fresh off of having a very juicy conversation with today's guests, Lisa Gates and Jay Moon Fields, two super awesome human beings. I met Lisa because I somehow was subscribed to her newsletter. She used to run a company called She Negotiates. And I think it was that newsletter. And one day she wrote something about improv, which, as you may have discerned, is a topic near and dear to my heart. And I wrote back to her very spontaneously and just, from the heart and said, I'm picking up what you're putting down. And she wrote back and we decided that we needed to meet. And so we did. And over the months of our burgeoning friendship, she kept mentioning Jay. Jay this and Jay that. No, I'm kidding. It wasn't like that at all, but certainly made me want to know Jay. Then I looked at Jay's website and she was on a motorcycle and I was like, I'm definitely interested in meeting Jay. And when Jay and I finally talked, it was a similar Insta connection. We got on a call and we sort of shared our stories and bonded and just immediately knew that we were people who had so much in common. And, it was during the pandemic that I met Lisa. And I just have to say, to this day, I have made genuine friendships online. It was only after a year of interacting with Jay through Zoom that I finally met her earlier this year in person. And tragically, I have still never met Lisa in person. And yet, as you'll see, I just banged my microphone. As you'll see, I hope, as you'll be able to tell from this conversation, there's love between us. I love these ladies, and I've spent an hour in person with Jay once. And for all of its shit showness, there is a way that the internet allows us to find our people and form real connections. And I'm super grateful for that. So anyway, get ready. We go deep and we get stupid, just as I promise. And it was a joy to talk to them, and I hope it's a joy to listen. Thanks for being here. It's happening.
I can't believe you just took a drink of your tea right before you recorded. That made me so nervous. I was like, oh, she's going to choke and we're going to start with the
Yeah.
I would have never done that. gosh.
Well, but it was coffee, see, and that's
okay.
It's all the difference. Yeah. And I almost got the Mighty Forces cup, but it was in the dishwasher. So
you mean this cup, Lisa?
Yeah,
I want one of those.
Listeners, those of you who are only experiencing this beauty of this episode so far with your ears and not your eyes, I am holding to the camera the You Are a Mighty Force mug that I gave to my clients and compatriots before I knew you, Jay.
Well, I'm going to have to find one somewhere.
But, someone who's no longer a client, I'm going to go to them and I'm going to be like, look, let's be real.
You don't deserve this.
You're not part of Mighty Forces anymore. No. But
That's
Jay
right.
very much is. Jay very much is.
Or it could be this. It could be that I send her the cup, right? And we just kind of send it around, send it back and forth.
Yes.
And just have this moving gift that goes from place to place.
Actually, that would be really good.
How fucking awesome would that be if you guys, you shared it like you had divorced, but you still shared the pet or something, right? So it would be October is Jay's month with the mug. November is Lisa's month with them. And I love the idea of both of you having errands in your day where you have to go to the shipping store and get some bubble wrap and put it in a package.
Send it on.
Yep. And then you get to the point where you've been doing it for so long, it's you forget that it's weird and funny. And you're just where's my mug? It's December. Where's my... My mug's not here.
Where's my mug?
Where the fuck is my mug? Yeah.
Jay forgot. She's she's not thinking of
I'm
me
hoarding.
anymore.
I'm hoarding the mug.
Yeah.
I would do that.
Yeah. Then we have
Yeah.
drama because Jay is like, you know what, Lisa, I'm keeping the mug. Right. And then,
You know what? And then we talk behind each other's back. Like, hey, you know what? Amanda, she never sent me the mug. I don't know. Something's going on. Something's going on.
But I don't care because I'm just sitting there with my
You're
mug.
just mugging it up. You're just mugging it up. I love that. Well, it's so funny because the first episode that I recorded was with my friends Netta and Molly. And Jay knows them because they did the Artist's Way group that I led last year that Jay was a part of. And then we're all in this like weekly call still of staying connected around our creativity and connection. And anyway, Molly is famous for always having at least like 5 beverages.
It's true.
I mean, like really, truly, like during a call like this, she'd be, if I said that, if she was here, she'd be like, oh yeah. And she'd show us and she'd have like a tea. Maybe she'd have like a black tea, an herbal tea, a water, a juice. I don't know.
She's hydrated.
Thing. She's
that lady.
Well, but we get into it. This is a teaser for anyone who hasn't heard my episode with Netta and Molly yet, but is listening to this. Listen for a deep dive on beverages and the deeper meaning behind why Molly has all those beverages. It's quite something. But I love that we started then with beverage because this is now becoming a through line in season 1 of Mighty. Like we started today with like Lisa's sip of coffee, and
there we go.
Yeah. So I'm gonna have to add in all the podcast directories, where you pick like this is a society and culture podcast, this is a health and wellness podcast, beverages.
Yes, and it's not just any coffee. Oh gosh, I could actually make a plug for this company who made this month. Oh, look at that, how dirty it is. It's called Taliaferro, and it's all
you
hand
gave me
built.
some of that for my wedding.
Yes.
I love it.
Yes, I do too. Everything hand built, and it's just amazing. And I've been to the studio, and I really love supporting small businesses. So TAGLIAFERRO.com.
Today's episode is brought to you by.
That's right.
Yeah. Now, okay. So Lisa, you mentioned, or Jay, you just said you gave that to me for my wedding. That is our segue into you two have a history and a relationship that predates me. You guys go back. You go way back, and I serendipitously found my way to Lisa a few years ago, and through Lisa heard so much about Jay, and then found my way to Jay, and now I consider both of you my dear friends. I think you're fucking rad women. I'm so glad I know you. I find myself curious, how did you two first find each other?
Oh.
We have such a story.
We kind of do. Can I start it and you can jump in?
Yes. Yeah.
So I moved from Portland to Ojai, California, and I didn't know anybody. And I started just making strange contacts. So the big city is Santa Barbara.
Now she's calling me strange.
No, you're not the strange one. I just started reaching out to people and networking. And one of the networking things I did was in Santa Barbara, and I met Seth, who was a financial planning guy. And he was like, oh, you're a coach. You should know Sarah Caputo. And I reached out to Sarah Caputo via email, and I said something to the effect of like, I was commenting on something in her website, and I was like, the Taurus in me loves that this is so organized or something. And she wrote back, I'm a Taurus too. And I said, when's your birthday? We shared the same birthday. And she was like, oh my God, Lisa Gates shares our birthday too. You should know her as well. So we made this lunch plan in a town between us. I didn't know who either of these two weirdo ladies were, but I knew we shared a birthday, and that was how it all started, in my recollection.
That is so interesting how we remember things. Because
really?
The way I...
She's like, that's not true at all.
That's not the way it is.
Lisa's like, we were at Burning Man.
Okay, so what's your version?
I was naked. That's
why I don't remember. I blocked that out.
I had met Sarah, And I was looking for somebody who was a productivity expert to sort of do a course with me and co-teach it kind of thing. And so we met at a local restaurant in Santa Barbara, and we discovered that we had the same birthday. And we went, oh my God, that's amazing. We're supposed to work with each other. And then she tells me that there's a third person that a mutual Seth wants to introduce you to us. And so we went to a restaurant in Carpinteria. And we said, when you walked in, we said, we just have one question. You can only join our group if you were born on April 24th. And
oh,
you
no,
said,
I already knew.
You already knew. Okay. See how
This is
I
memory
did already
is?
know.
But this is interesting because I'm approaching a lot, like in many ways, I'm approaching these conversations for this podcast like improv, right? Like it's not like, here's the 10 questions I'm going to ask you that I send in advance, and I want you to share your talking points and promote your latest thing. And like, I'm really trying. And even listeners, before this began, we were talking off camera about, gosh, we hope this like natural rapport and just relaxed way of being with each other translates once we hit record. And so in an improv show, what's so interesting is how themes come up again and again, sometimes due to active, conscious choices on part of the performers, but sometimes just because it's like there's this organism of the show that's been created and it has like an intelligence of its own or something. And it's interesting that this, first we had beverages and now we have memory. That was literally another theme that Netta and Molly and I got very into is how we remember things differently and why that is. And so that's just really interesting that that's come up again.
Well, so beverages and memory is a common theme. So now we're verging on boring the audience to death with the same subjects. Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm saying there's quite
kidding.
the opposite. I'm saying there's a collective intelligence being created in this series of conversations. There's like a hyper awareness between the conversations, or it's me because I'm the common element and I keep bringing us back to beverages and memories. Although I don't feel like I've done that.
Well, no, I think it came from the fact that, like Netta and Molly, Lisa and I have known each other a long time.
Right.
And so you go and you ask a question to two people. Because I was thinking this morning, Lisa, as we were eating breakfast, I was like, how long have I known Lisa? I think it's like 15 years. I can't entirely place it. And like, there's a lot of chapters to our relationship over 15 years. And I would be willing to bet that we remember them differently or can't place them in the same way or, so it might just be a function, Amanda, of the relational, like, the way that you're bringing on people who know each other.
Yeah, exactly.
And you're asking a question and they're like, no, that's not. Well, that's not how that went.
Yeah. Well, and so let me ask this. So Jay was allowed to sit at the table. And this would be a very different, someone else would be sitting here today if not for that. But so then am I right that the three of you started kind of a group, I don't know, a club,
a group,
mastermind.
Yeah.
The 424 Club.
Sure. Different than the 420 Club. A little different than the 420.
Right. Very different from the 420 Club.
Yeah.
That would be a different thing in my coffee cup. Right. I'm thinking about it also as sort of how we tell stories and how, so over time, I'm just going to cop to the fact that I might have embellished the story in order to make it more fun for the audience. And I told it that way once, so now that's reality, right?
Sure.
And how we just make shit up and like a lie you tell that you've told so often that it becomes reality.
Oh yeah.
I'm sorry, I've never done that, but you probably have.
Yeah. No, it's fascinating. I mean, it gets into this really heady space very quickly of just like what is real and how do we know? And we all experience life through such different lenses. I mean, even after today, even after this conversation, we'll all go our separate ways. And if we're each telling like our partner later how it went, I bet we'll emphasize different parts of it or when the episode comes out, there'll probably be parts of it that I'll be like, oh, I forgot we even went there. I forgot that came up. I don't remember that moment, you know?
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
you'll have different ones. And it's kind of staggering, in fact, that we all manage, well, maybe we don't, but for a long time, we've managed to coexist as we go through this world together, having such very different experiences of
Experience,
it,
right?
right?
Mm. I don't know why this reminds me of this. But there's a musical that I just saw, Into the Woods, this weekend again after, gosh, I don't know, a long time ago I saw it. And it's a Stephen Sondheim musical, and for people who are listening, it's really about people who, it's a mashup of four fairy tales like Cinderella, Jack and the Beanstalk, Little Red Riding Hood, and the baker and his wife. And they all want different things. They're wishing that they could have a baby. They're wishing that they weren't poor, and they're wishing for something. And they make a deal with the devil, basically, with the witch, and the witch provides somewhat. So they're all individually after something. And then, then things happen, and the witch loses her power also. And so now the witch is sort of, the devil undressed, and is just in the same wanting place that they all are. And kind of what happens by the end is, the message is that you really can't get what you want unless you're acting in community, unless you're pulling together. And I think, I think of this moment that we're in, that we have a big bad wolf. We've got an impersonator in chief, who's the devil, you could say. And we haven't pulled together. We need to pull together, right? So for some reason that just, kind of got me, as this is a community. We have been pulling together. We've been pulling for each other, mm, you know, as we go in and out of whatever we're going in and out of, in support of each other, and separately. But we do so much better when we're together, when we're
I know
something.
I'm having like a bodily experience over here, Lisa, because in my conceptual mind that is always mapping things together, you've just sort of picked up a conversation I've been having with myself for like 3 days.
Yeah.
And it's sort of wild. It feels to me like you just picked it out of the ether. Like it was, I don't, but I want to actually pause because I can come back to that. And I want to know, what does that bring up for you, Jay? Like what Lisa just shared, and the idea of like going through it together. What does that bring up for you?
You know what? It brings up the ways that we don't.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't mean to be like downer Jay here, but like,
Yeah.
it makes me
you
realize
are.
like, gosh, like I haven't talked with you, Lisa, in a couple months, and that's kind of uncommon. Usually we speak more often, and I don't know what's been going on in your world to why the drawback. And so I guess it went, and myself too, like there's things I haven't caught you up on that have been why I haven't reaching out. And so
Yeah.
it makes me go to the other end of the spectrum of like how hard it is to band together, how it feels like. I mean, I know you're there, both of you. We are together in this, and I guess I went to the places of thinking of like, well, how much more could I be actually activating that? You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
I,
interesting. I tend to let things. I tend to let people go for periods, and then go and scramble to get connected. You know, um, I mean, there is a thread, but you can't, the thread, sort of interstitial thread that's ties the three of us. But we're not always conscious that it's there. And I think we also say we take ourselves out of connection when we're feeling bad or something's going on, instead of the other way around where it's like, I need you, help.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Oh, that dance. I mean, that
Mm-hmm.
dance, right, of the retreat versus the seeking of connection, versus the sort of the instinct or the pattern or the habit of
Mm-hmm.
retreating into self. It's a
Mm-hmm.
pattern I want to break. So I'll tell you guys, you'll appreciate this. I had a profound experience on Saturday night. I love living in the Hudson Valley. Oh, did you read my
I
newsletter?
read your newsletter and I so wanted to just go, oh my God. So
So
yeah,
now you can.
say
So,
more. Thank you.
okay.
Yeah.
So, I love the natural bounty of living here. And I also love the creative culture. And there's an artist, a local artist, who I'll put a link to her website and information about what I'm about to describe in the show notes, because shamefully I'm forgetting her name at this moment. But she created this project here in the Hudson Valley of New York called Greater Mysteries. And it was deeply informed and inspired by ancient myths about journeys into the underworld and back, and the
Amazing
transformation.
already.
Right. And the
Love that.
transformation that occurs. And I mean, I think she got state funding for this. She got grant funding. She went to, apparently, to Iceland to compose and record the music. I might have that a little bit wrong, but she's been on a journey creating this journey for the rest of us. Okay. So we get there, and it's at Widow Jane Mine, which is in Rosendale, New York. It's a cave. So we gather at the edge of this forest, and then we begin to walk down, and there are a series of guides on the path along the way who give us a little bit of information as we go, and kind of guide us into the experience. We were asked to bring small sticks, and one of our guides invites us to also pick a red thread from the basket, and she says that the stick, we should think about what our intention is for this experience, and the stick will represent our intention. And the red thread represents a thread of something that we're taking into the experience with us, and that we know will be there when we come out, or that will carry us out. And we wrap the stick in the thread. And then we have like quiet meditative time, and we approach the cave, and there are people there inviting us to rinse our hands in rose water. Water with
Yes.
rose petals in it.
Love
I mean,
it.
it's just fucking stunning. And they've draped red, gauzy fabric by the mouth of the cave. And I gasped when I saw, because I could see in even before we were invited in, and there were all these candles, so candlelight filling the, I mean, it was so beautiful, so beautiful. So we wait for a while, and then we go in, and there are like people waving incense. I don't know what the technical term is, but like, when it like dangles sort of from a metal, like, what are those things called? I don't know.
Oh,
Waving
yeah. Yeah.
incense around, and we go in, and in the entrance to the cave, she's designed, there's like an array of, like, their offerings. It's almost like an altar. There's seashells, and there's flower petals, and pomegranates. And we get in there, and my immediate instinct, as everybody goes to sit right in front of where a stage is set up, is I don't want to sit there. I want to sit over there. By this like sort of darker corner with candles in it. And so I do. So I'm with Jordan, my husband, and some friends, and I just say, please don't take this the wrong way, but I want to go sit over there. You're welcome to come, but I'm going to sit over there. So I sit over there, which is an important detail, right? Because what I'm getting around to here is a sort of insight I had around separateness versus togetherness.
Oh, wow.
And maybe they don't need to be verses. Maybe it's just separateness and togetherness, right? So I go over that. So then the performers take the stage, and they perform this work, and there's like an incantation right at the beginning, and they perform this set of songs that are orally designed to, and lyrically, bring us through an experience. And it's quite absorbing and moving, and then at the end, people come around, these guides. Now they're coming through the cave and offering each of us a candle and lighting our candle. And so it's the end, and this cave is full of people holding their lit candles. And the lyric in the song is, it's like, we were born to sing. We were born to sing. And she says, join me if you like. And everyone starts joining in, or at least a lot of people do. And so it's a cave full of people I mostly don't know. We're a sea of light in a dark cave singing, we were born to sing. And I just had this fucking feeling go through me of like, that's the message that this whole journey was about for me, of whatever I thought brought me to the cave, whatever, my intention, the journey, the whole experience. The thing that just really landed for me was, I am having a separate experience. I am internally processing this whole thing. I'm noticing the seashells. I'm noticing this. I'm experiencing, and we are having
There you
this
go.
experience. And I am part of the we. And I felt in that moment like there's a grace in those moments of seeing the organism that you're a part of, seeing the we, and realizing that even when you have a pattern or a habit of retreating from the we, you're still part of it.
You're still part of the collective. Yeah.
Yeah. And so my sort of commitment to myself in that moment was like, lean into the we, like allow more of the we. And so it's just amazing to me that and then I had another experience, which I won't, because this is not meant to be a monologue. But then I had another experience yesterday that was around the same themes. And so the fact that, Lisa, you were like, I don't know why I'm moved to say this, but I want to share. I saw Into the Woods, and here's what it's about, and here's the theme.
And funny, too, that both of your stories came from seeing a production, being a part of art.
Which is very communal.
Yes.
I mean, at least theater is and can be, it's so beautiful because, everybody takes away their own unique experience from that experience, right? And you were all there together, but you all have separate realities in terms of what, and that's just true as we walk through the world every day. We're all having a separate experience and a together experience. One of the features of this production, which was at the Oregon Shakespeare Festival, was as the audience is coming in, all the characters are on stage talking to each other, and they're just chatting. They're, messing around. They might have like a little moment with somebody in the audience. They're like taking off a jacket, putting on maybe I feel better like this. They're just milling around doing their thing. And for me, what that did was they want us to consciously be a part of their community. So they're not, there's no fourth wall at that point. There's just everyone. And it's a huge Elizabethan theater, outdoor theater, and it's probably 1,000 seats. I don't know. But everyone is being pulled in. So, God, the power of
what
art
a different
to make
vibe.
Yeah.
Were they, I'm curious, were they as their character, or were
I had
they
the same question?
Yeah.
Or were they actors? Like, were they like, I'm
were they
Joe
the actors
getting into
ready,
character?
or were they the character already just hanging around?
I think they were their characters. I think it was like a little bit of a mix, right? I think it's more like, hey, I'm the baker's wife. This is what I look like. She's not saying that, but she's
Hi,
dressed.
I'm the baker's wife.
Hi, you're about to see a play.
Coat
Yeah.
Coat on, coat off.
No, I think it was both. It was, I'm this person playing this character, and you're about to have an experience, and we want you to be part of our experience. And then they would drop, when the show started, they drop fully into their characters, it was just very unique. So there was no artifice that this is a play and there's right that this is my story, but it's also yours. It's a very universal sort of themes that are going to be explored. So
I really like the idea of watching the actor to some extent begin to inhabit their character, because as you're watching them enter the world of the play, it like invites you to enter the world of the play. Whereas if the first time you see them, they're in character. Particularly, I struggle with outdoor theater too. I mean, if the setting isn't really part of the story, because I just get distracted. Like I'm just so hyper aware of like I'm watching a play in a pretty field. Look at the trees. The sun's setting. Oh, and the play is still happening. Like it's just very hard for me to lose myself.
Amanda, did you when you were when I was studying theater, there's a playwright director guy named Grotowski, and I can't remember his first name. And
Mr. Grotowski.
Mr. Grotowski. And to you, Mr. Grotowski. And so he was very much of that about that. So if you're there, doing a monologue from Macbeth and a jet goes overhead, well, you have to acknowledge that. You have to incorporate it in some way. And by not doing so, you break the promise with the audience, right? You break a promise.
How do you incorporate a jet as Macbeth?
Yeah. Good question. I think you rehearse it a lot. Oh, jet overhead. No.
The thunder doth speak. As
the metal bird doth fly above, emitting its grumble.
What portent is this? Yes. I know. I think it's about just the ability to be present and take in whatever is happening around you without losing the thread or the through line that you're delivering. But isn't that the experience in the cave, right?
Well, what you were just saying, I was like, isn't that the experience that all three of us do for our work?
Yeah,
right?
I was
helping
sensing that.
people to be present to what is, and be an integral part of their own experience, so that they can come from something that's more real and connected,
genuine. Yes.
Yeah. I do have sort of similarly conceptual thoughts swirling around about the link between everything we're saying and the work that the three of us do, and particularly I'm thinking of the roles that each of you play. Like I think of Jay at a yoga studio leading a yoga class, which is what that was your role for a long time before you expanded into other roles, and then coaching people to very, very much what you just said, to be present in their bodies, an embodiment coach, and then teaching a course on camera for LinkedIn and all the millions of people that you've reached that way. And then also, I think of you both, and I was thinking about this before we came on today, of in your own way, each of you are healers and storytellers. And so Jay, another role I see for you is, that of writer. And then, of course, this last 6 months or so, you've added podcaster, right? And then Lisa, right? Coach, LinkedIn instructor, communications coach, negotiations coach, storytelling coach. And then also, I always, whether or not you're actively in a play at any given moment, I think of you always as an actor and improviser. I mean, that's just like part of who you are. And you're also a writer. We were talking earlier before we pressed record about the creative writing project that you're working on right now. And so, I don't know, I'm trying to feel for what my question is exactly, but maybe like reflect, and we can start with you, Jay, but just like reflect a little bit on those different roles and how they relate to creating experiences, maybe for other people and for yourself. I know that's kind of abstract, but what do you hear in that? Like what resonates for you in that?
I mean, the first thing that comes to mind, or that I feel as you say that, is like trying to find my place in how how I metabolized the world. Like, I didn't think of it as all of those things. I didn't think of as this is a role I'm going to take on. I think they were the things that I could do and not lose myself. Like, I think back to when I first started teaching yoga and I was 19, and the practice of yoga was the first place that I ever really could say that I had an experience of what you guys were just talking about, of like, I am a separate self and I am part of something that, which I would say is a very spiritual sort of experience. And I noticed at that time in my life, there was nothing that I could do outside of yoga other than writing where I felt like I was behind my own eyes, in my own body, part of this collective. And any time I imagined like going into a different role, for example, like going into a corporate job or doing something in the restaurant business or whatever, if I imagined myself in a different role, I was absent. I couldn't do it without feeling like I was performing or without feeling like I was vacant inside, or, those were the roles I chose because they were the only ones I knew how to inhabit. And if I didn't inhabit myself in the role, I felt like, well, where am I in my own life?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wow.
Well, and it just makes me think too, Jay, about how, so for people who don't know, you should all be listening to Jay's podcast called Hey Wait. And you will learn a lot from her podcast and her newsletter about this idea she's just introduced about being behind your own eyes and really being in your body, being in you. And then it's so interesting, this theme we've discovered of sort of being separate and together at the same time. And what you've just said, because it strikes me, Jay, because so much of your work is about how do I be behind my own eyes and be with you?
Yes.
And yet, in a way, what you just said is that when you're doing the things that make you feel like you're behind your own eyes, you inherently feel like you're with other people in a way you don't otherwise.
Yeah.
It makes it possible.
Yeah.
Being behind your own eyes makes being with possible.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right?
Right, because anytime I imagined myself in a different role, like a corporate role, like I said, I wouldn't have been with. I would have been the role, I feel like. And I see it in so many of the people that I've worked with, especially people in direct care, nurses and doctors and teachers. If you haven't found the ability to be in your body in a role like that, you're not actually with the people you're serving.
And yet it's such a survival mechanism for people to leave their bodies, so to speak, or to put on a performance as a way of coping with the stress, demands, physical, emotional, whatever.
All of it.
All of the role. And it comes back to where we started, right? Like where I said, like, so often I'm noticing my instinct is to withdraw as opposed to lean in and be with. And yet the salvation comes in the being with self and therefore being able to be with others.
Yeah.
It's just sort of wild. I guess I'm reflecting that we seem to be, so many of us seem to be conditioned to lean away from other people, to vacate the space behind our eyes, to put on the performance, to and as opposed to the like recognition of, oh, when I do this, I'm behind my eyes. I'm with myself. I'm in myself. Therefore, I can be with other people. Leaning into other people is a form of salvation. Like, it just seems like it takes us all a very long time to learn that.
Say more about salvation. It's just it's an interesting choice of words, and I'm curious, what do you mean by leaning into people's salvation?
I'm thinking of the times that we're living through. I mean, I'm thinking of just Lisa, your beautiful articulation of the message of Into the Woods, that we get through it together. Like right now, if all of us are trying to get through life in America just in our own, silos, without leaning on each other for emotional support, without talking about it with other people, without gathering to protest or sing in a cave, like we're lost. And so I think of other, in that context, it's very much like mutual aid, which and really activating very real community in your wherever you are. So in that sense, I do sort of casually even think of other people of community as salvation. But feel free to disagree or to tell me what that makes you think. Lisa, your process, you're having I can tell it's landing powerfully with you.
No, it's like, I just sort of I was trying to tie that thought to the original question that you asked and that Jay answered about the roles. They're not really roles, right? They are choices you're making in the moment to be writing or to be, doing this activity or that activity. But if it's not an embodied choice, it becomes performative. And so I was thinking about sort of how we're all, I hate this word these days, entrepreneurs. We run our own businesses and we have for some time. But if you were to go back in time to when you first started doing that thing, maybe coaching, whatever it is, it has morphed so many times. The offer that we are has changed so many times, and it might not seem like a big, vast difference to some, but I know that, in my own case, I started out focusing on productivity and sort of how do you set goals that are aligned with who you are and that reflect what you value as opposed to just getting shit done. And that just morphed into another layer was negotiation and conflict resolution and teaching that. So, but if I wind way back to in my 20s, I was just out of school and I'm really lost. And I have all these parts of me that I want to activate at the same time. I have the writer, I have the improv performer, I have the theater, the actor. Then I have this desire to make money and to like maybe step into public relations and marketing. And there's a part of me that wants to experience the corporate stuff. And they are not separate from me. They're things I can do. They're capacities that are natural to me.
Well,
So
and different expressions of yourself, I would say.
Different expressions, right? And at one time, one is kind of holding sway and I'm leaning on one thing more than the other. And I would guess that is not precisely, but true for both of you, that you've morphed a lot, but you are still leaning on those in sort of inherent or intrinsic capacities that you have had your whole life. They've always been you, but to one, right? Would you say that's
and they
true?
iterate over time as I develop as a person and as I come across a new challenge that I don't know how to navigate it, then that becomes the new thing that I'm kind of working on, not just in my personal life, but also in my work. Like the iterations in my work have gone along with what are my own personal challenges.
Well, and then, if you will, bring that back to community. Like as you think about your journeys, you think about yourself in your 20s, Lisa, and everything you just shared about like the different parts of self that were sort of hungry to be activated or being activated. And Jay, you think of like the different, and when I'm wondering, what do you see? Maybe you've thought about it before, maybe you haven't. But when you think about communities you've been a part of or just people you've been with, what role have they played like in activating different parts of you or making it hard?
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I can say for sure that every iteration came from noticing patterns in where people were. Like it wasn't just that
Mm.
I was so in teaching negotiation and being, helping people get the salaries and promotions and et cetera that they wanted and deserved. Um, I would start noticing patterns. And so if this is true for them, then it's probably true for a lot of people. And I started to notice the need to develop your core story, to be able to articulate your value in a way that showed who you are for the other party. What you could bring to them that was of value. So knowing your again intrinsic value and how that expresses. So story became essential, and that shift became kind of front and center. So for me, the shifts were always about pattern noticing.
Through interaction, that it like
Yeah, through community.
Not through community. So not you sitting alone in your house going, the spirit has moved me. I shall now talk about storytelling
Right.
more than I shall talk about negotiation. It was more like being you with other people and noticing what was coming up led you
There's a jet flying overhead. No, yes.
Storytelling doth present itself as a new area of curiosity. Jay, I heard you sort of nodding with that. Is that, what's that bring up for you?
And I was like, I was trying to find, a lot of times for me, the words aren't there. It's a feeling. And I was trying to put the words to the feeling. And then I got back into what Lisa was saying and I kind of lost it. But I was feeling something to the effect. Let me see if I can find it. That the role that community played for me in those different roles in myself, yes, to everything Lisa said in the sense of like how much of it came through being a part of community and seeing patterns. But I also feel like the roles that I took on or the offerings that I did were also about belonging, like finding the different communities I've been in over the time in my work have shifted. I was very much in the yoga community, then I was very much more in the kind of corporate community as I was doing facilitation and that sort of thing. And there were different communities where I felt like I clicked more. And those were all the ones that I stayed in longer. So there's some sense of I really belong here because what I have to offer to this particular community is valued in a way that it isn't over here. So I think the things that come up for me are that like that belonging and mattering are so important to the roles that we choose for ourselves. And there are roles that I could have taken on where I would not have felt that.
Well, and listening to you say that makes me realize how much self-definition of mine has been a reaction to not belonging certain places.
Yes.
Right?
Ditto.
And so I think I don't belong somewhere, so then I end up going on a journey, and I think this ends up with me retreating.
Yes.
That's that retreat of like, that didn't feel good. I don't want more of that. And then I'm going to create that's the entrepreneur in me and the artist in me. I'm going to create something that holds me and maybe holds other people who don't fit that thing that I just,
Exactly.
And so I feel that. And yet I also at the same time, Lisa, feel what you described, which is I've often said in my whole career, it's been a parallel of me helping other people tell their stories while endeavoring to tell my own stories. And the interplay between the two has been quite magical, of like, I'll hear myself saying something to a client and I'll realize, Jesus Christ, that's what I needed to hear, right? I mean, every coach has had that experience. Or I'll have like, God, just like a gut-wrenching experience trying to birth a creative project of my own. And then I see my client and I'm like, I know what to say. I know the insight for you. Because that's why I was suffering, maybe, I think, because now I have this little nugget to share with you. And so there is, it's like this just, I just am visualizing this coming together and pulling apart, coming together and pulling apart. Like, this isn't for me. Well, this is for me. This isn't for me. This is for me, you know?
That is the whole experience, the metaphor of the cave. You know, the metaphor of that whole creative experience. It's almost like there's a birthing going on in there. So like if we are, sometimes we can't be intentional until we're present, until we're aware of the thing that's moving in us, right? But in a way, I saw this sort of ritual that you could cause yourself to go through by going into the cave. And we're coming into that time of year. It's fall. We're going to be making this transition into winter, right? And then we're going to emerge different. We're going to emerge with, not a requirement that you be different, but,
I'll see you back here in 6 months and we'll see what we get.
Yeah. I don't want to talk to you before then. But I think it's beautiful that that you have this very feminine, to me, cave experience. And it kind of represents the womb and the just the light and the intentional going in intentionally. You went to this creative experience intentionally, and then there was this thing that happened that was unexpected.
So it feels appropriate, like that now I share how the experience ended, because I didn't really say that. So we sang, we had our candles, the show was over, and then they said, we invite you to follow, this is so beautifully orchestrated, follow the sounds of the drum beat as you leave the cave, which, speaking of birth, it was like a heartbeat, right? And we ascended up from the cave, following the same path back. And now there were fires, and the drums were by the fire. And we were invited to take our stick, our intention, with our thread wrapped around it, and lay it in the fire.
Awesome.
And let it go. And
God, I fucking love ritual.
Yes.
So good.
It really is such a powerful, I mean, I hate to use this word, forgive me, it's the best one I can think of right now, but like, it's such a container for, I think and I wish those of you who are listening could see my hands. I'm bringing them close together and then sort of undulating them apart, but it's like that. Yeah.
I was laughing because it's a little bit like what Trump does with his hands all the time.
Oh
no! We almost made it through the whole thing without saying that word.
Now listeners, I'm spastically
not doing that.
Shaking my hands off. I've now purged it. No, it's okay.
No one will ever invite me to a podcast again. I
hereby smudge you. I
Yes.
smudged the whole experience. Okay.
But anyway, so now please lose that visual, listeners. But there's a way in which ritual provides a container that holds us, and it gives us a place to do that coming together and coming together. And then we leave the ritual, and it's like the pulling apart, but we come back to the ritual. Whether the ritual is what I did, it's going to a play, it's going to a yoga class, right?
There you go.
It brings us together. Okay, so I could talk to you all for 5 more hours, but I'm not going to ask you to spend 5 more hours with me today. But I do want to ask you something that it's a question that just came to me during my the first episode I recorded, and now I've decided I'm going to ask people this. And I want to preface it by saying, like, please, I'm not trying to set you up to be a guru or to like leave us with like the wisest words ever spoken on the earth. I'm really inviting you to share what's in your heart in this moment. Like, so this is a podcast for people who give a damn, right? So you're people who give a damn about other people. So much of your work, as we've talked about today, has been about trying to help other people, either, negotiate or feel into their bodies or whatever it may be, right? And you give a damn, I happen to know because I know you, about the broader world as well. And otherwise I wouldn't be close friends with you. So I'm thinking of the person listening who is a person who gives a damn, who is alive in September of 2025, where it's really fucking hard. I'm in America, probably, because I'm not imagining I'm going to be big in Japan, although maybe, you never know. So I should hold that possibility open. But like other Americans who fucking give a damn, who are listening to this podcast, what is something that you would like to offer them? I look and like maybe it's a ritual of your own. Maybe it's a joke you recently heard. Maybe it's a quote you come back to. Maybe it's just a message that's coming to your heart in this moment as I say it. But just again, I'm really not trying to set you up to be like, have like the mic drop moment. I'm just inviting you to share from your heart to theirs what's something that's there right now.
So here's what has been coming up a lot recently in conversations, and I had one with my sister just a couple days ago, which is the ability to separate the problem from the person. So this is about conflict, and we're all in a moment of conflict in ourselves, with each other, about those demons out there, that weird in TV, news stations, so-called news. We're all separate. And so there's a lot of blame going around, and it's like pointing fingers over there, and that person's an ass, and this one's a jerk. And so we're having a problem with other people. But I always say, notice who's having the problem, right? You're having the problem. That person you're talking about doesn't even know you're experiencing what you're experiencing. So they have no idea unless you were in communication with them. But let's say there's someone that you are having an issue with. If you initially separate that person from what you want to define as here's what the problem is, and then locate yourself in it and say, what do I want? What's missing? What's wrong? How am I feeling? What's going on over here? So that you can take the blame away and find out what's real and what could actually be useful to you in the moment to solve a problem. I hope that wasn't as convoluted as it sounded.
No.
But
so you're saying notice the experience that you're when you feel like basically that person's an ass.
Right.
Take a minute, pause, notice what experience you're having inside yourself. Go ahead, Jay. You look like you have something.
Well, first of all, notice that you're having the problem. That's right. Really essential.
And I kind of hear it as like stay in your lane, as opposed to jumping
on your
to
side
the
of the street. Yeah,
exactly. As opposed to being over there and being like, this is what's wrong with you. This is why you're bad. You stay over here and you go, why is this bothering me? What is this for me? How do I solve this?
Yes.
Right. And that might be, I need to go for a walk. It might be, I'm so pissed off, I'm going to look around and see if there's a protest I can go to. Right. It might mean I'm going to call my congressperson. It might mean I'm going to call a friend and vent. It might mean I'm going to throw paint at the wall.
It could be too that, if I'm having a problem with another, my brother, my sister, my whoever, there might be an apology necessary, right? There might be taking responsibility for something so that you can act, more in accord. Yeah.
And there might be the need. I mean, sometimes everything I just brainstormed assumes you don't want to talk to the person about it. But there's always the option that it feels true to have a conversation. And of course, most of us don't relish having difficult conversations. Yeah. But if, and we won't go down that tunnel right now, because that could be a whole other hour. But I will say that if you're listening and you're like feeling like, because the scenario that Lisa just conjured is very doesn't really feel very hypothetical at all, right? It feels very, very alive and real, and so if you're feeling a little, I don't know, triggered, but like activated by that, both Lisa and Jay are people to follow for very different ways of navigating moments like those. Like Jay for how to feel into what's happening in your body and be present and land and be with you. And Lisa for literally, I mean, as an expert in conflict resolution and negotiation, literally tactics and tips for how to prepare to have what feels like a difficult conversation with someone. And I should mention, and I'll mention this in my intro too, but I'll just mention it again here. They're both LinkedIn instructors. So literally they both have classes you can take on LinkedIn that help with those different dimensions of navigating hard moments. So
Jay, I want to know Jay's answer to the what's your thought? What's your
the final? Yeah. I feel pretty fresh out of wisdom here. So
fair.
The thing that came up for me was actually a reflection that I'm taking away from today's conversation, which is the way that I would answer that question is to remember collective intelligence, that we're part of it. There have been times in my life where I felt much more tuned into that. And this is a time where I don't. The world feels pretty fragmented. So to think in terms of collective experience, collective intelligence has, it's escaped me a bit. And so it feels like a really important reminder to seek out the places where you can tap into that. And if you don't know how to tap into it, it feels like it comes back to the word that we all talked about before we press record, which was softening. Like, when I am with other people and I soften, I hear things differently. I get different information. There's just this conversation alone is you're like, oh my gosh, this is exactly what came up with Molly and Netta. Like, there is something that is a woven connection between all people and all things. I truly believe that. And I know that the days that I let myself feel that are the days that I feel more hopeful and more like there's salvation, to use your word, and just wrap it up.
I love that that's your version of I'm out of wisdom, so I'll just toss this out there. Someone else would be like, hang in there. And Jay's like, I'm just reminded of the touchstone of collective intelligence and how, like whatever. So yes, everything you just said. That's fucking beautiful. So fucking beautiful. And it reminds me, this will be like my last thought, and then I'll truly let you poor people go. I've held you hostage too long. But, and I'm speaking to both Jay and Lisa and you, the listener. No. But that's how you want people to feel at the end of an episode, right?
Exactly.
They've been held hostage.
We'll let you out now.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Not yet. If you're reaching for the dial, we're not there yet. No, but it's just the collective intelligence thing reminded me of a metaphor that I get so much solace from a lot of the time, which was, what was that? There was a book that was big a couple of years ago about the intelligence of trees and forests, and about how these fungal networks.
Understory. Or the overstory.
The overstory? Is that what it's called?
Overstory.
Okay.
Or The Secret Life of Trees or something like that.
Yeah. I'm going to put
or that
put a
was
link.
Bees. Secret Life of Bees. No, just...
Damn it, Lisa.
I don't know the answer to that.
I'm going to put a link to, now I'm going to have to put a link to The Secret Life of Bees by Sue Monk Kidd in my show notes as well. But also the tree one, because that's what, it's just magical, right? Like, I happen to have a forest outside my window, and it's just like each of those trees, this is going to sound cheesy, but I'm going to say it anyway. Like, each of those trees is an individual tree. Like, get on with your bad self, each of you. One's an elm, one's a maple, one's a, and like each of them, it's a miracle, all that they go through and all the details of their lives in terms of the other creatures that live on them, in them, that the things that harm them or help them, all that. And each of them is absolutely part of a forest. And that's not just coincidental. Like, we now know that, I guess, these fungal networks are conveying information, sensations, the mycelium from one tree to another. So they truly do exist, not just as like a collection of a tree next to a tree next to a tree next to a tree, but like as of a collective organism. And that just to me is, a metaphor that feels apt for the end of this particular conversation. Thank you guys so much.
Oh my gosh, it's been fun.
This is really fun. This was the inaugural time that we all three have been in one place. So
I know.
may it happen again.
And now it's memorialized.
Yes. For better or worse.
Thanks so much for listening. If you loved this episode, please consider sharing it with someone who might need it. And please take a few minutes and leave a review. That really helps the show find its people. Mighty Forces is produced by Amanda Hirsch and Haley Hatcher. The music of Mighty Forces was written and performed by Jordan Hirsch, aka my wonderful husband. Till next time, remember, you are a mighty force, and we're mightier together.